You know what? It's nearly winters, and you know something? It's totally a little crazy. Actually, yesterday was hot, but today was windy, and I think tomorrow is going to be really cold, and I don't want to know what to do. But maybe I can take a little rest at home. I wish we go to school offline so that when the day is cold, I can stay home and sleep. But we learn online, so if it was cold, we still can learn online on our computers or something like that. Yeah. You know, that my channel is in it. So, guess what are we learning today? We're reading about it's called Bill Gates, which was lots of fun. So let's read them. Remember just reading chapters something, I don't know. Let's see it again. We just read it chapter. Chapter 4, I think so. You read it chapter 3, so let's read chapter 4 today. Now let's start. Oh, there's no screen and no keyboard, something. Okay, let's read chapter 4. Let's start. Chapter 4, Opportunity Knocks. During his first year at Harvard, Bill was busy with college classes. Then in the middle of his somewhat phony year, Bill read a magazine article that changed his life. Paul Allen was working in Boston at the time. He started the article first. These words blazed across the cover of Popular Electronics. I don't think so, guy. Let's start back. Right away, Paul rushed over to Harvard to show Bill the magazines. Bill understood why Paul was so excited. This was amazing news. People could now buy a kit to build a small computer. It could do many things. Many of the same thing as a huge mainframe. Its name was Altair. Altair 8800. In actuality, the Altair wasn't the world's first mini computers, but it cost less than $400. So it was the first one cheap enough for hobbyists. People who like to do things themselves. The Altair didn't look like a computer today. Okay then what's that? Oh, wait a little bit. Overdue. So let's just start back. Wasn't the world's first mini computer, but it cost at less than $400. So it was the Altair didn't look at all like computers do today. About the size of a microwave oven. It looked like a black box with switches and lights. There was no keyboard and there was no screen. Plus, you had to put the Altair together yourself. Even once the computer was assembled by her, wouldn't have much. They would only have their hardware, the hard parts of the computer that can touch, but there was no software to go with the Altair. Software is a language program that tells a computer what to do. Without software, a computer can't do a thing. A computer without software is like a car without gasoline. Bill and Paul were struck with a powerful idea. They would write software for this new machine. Both of them were excellent programmers. They had the energy. They had the skill. They knew they could do it. Bill called the company that made the computer. It was Micro Instrument. Oh, look at that. Oh, look at that. So, yeah. Instruments. Bill called the company that made the computer. It was Micro Instrumentation and Telemetry System. MITS. The company was located in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Bill told the head of MITS, Edie Robert, that he and his partners were writing language software for the Altair. Bill asked if the MITS was interested in seeing it. Sure, said Robert. Oh, look at that. What did it mean? Oh, I know what he means. Okay. I know that. Thanks a lot. I mean, learning online. So wait a little bit. So they would only have the whole document, not this one. Sure, said Robert. You agreed to meet with the boys in a month or so. Yikes, Bill had claimed that their program was nearly done. In reality, he and Paul haven't even started yet. Oh, I see. So let's start back. Yikes! Bill had claimed the program was nearly done. In reality, he and Paul haven't even started yet. So for about the 8 next weeks, Bill and Paul work like mad. 8 next week is two more months, yeah? For about the next 8 weeks, Bill and Paul work like mad. The challenge was huge. They didn't even have an Altair to work on. Mitz was behind in filling its order, but the boys did have the instruction for the Altair. They could use them to build a simulator, a program that could trick a big computer into acting like a small one. In that way, they could use a mainframe computer to test out their new code. Paul set to the work building of the simulator. Bill took the charge of the designing this software. He'll think hard before writing anything. Paul saw Bill pacing and rocking for the long parades. Before jotting on the yellow Lego pad, Bill had juggled his college classes with this new project. Something had to give. For Bill, it was sleep. Often he'll work late into the night. Paul later describes Bill during that time. He'll be in the middle of the line code when he gradually tilted forward until his nose touched the keyboard. After dozing an hour or two, he'll open his eyes, squint at the screen, blink twice, and resume precisely where he left off. Oh, what do you mean? No, not this lesson again. I don't want to do some of these hard work. I am learning. Okay then, you let me to read now. Oh no, okay then. So out of the deadline midst drew near, Bill lined up another friend from Harvard to help out. Just in the nick of time, the program was ready. Paul was chosen to travel to Albuquerque and show the program to each Robert. The boys had worked so hard, now their dreams were on the lines. When Paul got to the midst, Edie Robert brought him to messy table. They sat in a little altar. Quiet and lifeless, Paul got ready to do a test run of their program of Edie. Oh no, I wish there it's work. Maybe it will work. Okay. Let's start back. So quiet and lifeless, Paul got ready to do a test run of their program for ED. He felt tenses as he loaded it. Their software had never been tried on real altar before. Will it work? Was the code right? Paul held his breath and put through the first command. Print 2 plus 2. Instantly, the computer shot back the answer. 4. Succeeds. I mean, it's right! Minutes later, Edie Robert decided to buy the program Bill Gates and Paul Allen had created. Oh! Good! So let's start back. And guess what? I still learning. Okay then, sorry little guy. Just wait a little moment. So wait, I have to tell him that I need to learn, not now to play. Okay then, so just tell him a little bit. Okay then, let's start back to our work. He's a nice boy guy. So let's just start back the work we did. Let's start back. Okay then. Chapter 5. Microsoft is born. Yeah. You know, Bill Gates is the one who created Microsoft. And how he did it was really great. So let's just see how Microsoft born. Now that they had deal with Mitch, Bill, and Paul needed a name for the business. They decided to call it Microsoft. because they were writing software for microcomputers. Micros means small. In less than a year, they dropped the Heffen. Bill was... Oh, what post? So just turn it off a little bit. So I'll get. So in less than a year, they dropped the Heffen. Bill's Okay then. Bye. So that. Oh, that's not really good. I know why you have to write a post. Because actually a few days he didn't learning right. The teacher getting angry. Said him why you doing that, and his mom getting angry at him, and he have to write a post to send to the teachers. So he can learn tomorrow. So let's start back. We're writing software for microcomputers. In less than a year, they dropped the Heffen. Bill was president and chairman for the Microsoft, and Paul was vice president. At first, the computer was no more than a name. Paul took full-time job at MITS as head of their software development. He was living in the Abu Ghraib. Bill stayed at Harvard, yet both boys dream of doing more with Microsoft. Yeah. So in 1975, Bill took a leave of absence, a time out to join Paul at Blue Core with a project for Microsoft. Bill's parents did not want him to drop out of college. Reluctantly, Bill went back to Harvard, but his heart and mind just weren't in school. They were back in Abu Ghraib in the computer business that he and Paul had started. Bill sensed that the computer world was at a major turning point. New computer chips had become available that could store lots of information on tiny wafers. Bill thought microcomputers were going to be becoming big, really big. Here was his chance to do something important, and the moment to act was now. So he left Harvard again. This time, he never went back. Bill returned to Apple Core and threw himself into his business. Soon, Paul joined him full-time. He and Paul adopted a slogan for Microsoft: a computer on every desk and in every home. That was just a wild dream, and the late partners set about making it happen. By now, the Ultrabook succeeds. Another companies were starting to make mini computers too, like MITS. They only made hardwares. Only one company, Apple, made both of the hardware and software, and it's microcomputers. Microsoft was ready to make software for all the other companies. You know, what is Apple? You know, a friend that Bill Gates meet when the head of Apple's nearly die. Bill Gates visit him. Remember that guy? Can you tell me his name? Good job. You really right. It's Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs is the one who, Steve Jobs is the one that the head of Apple, and Bill Gates is a head of Microsoft. Yeah, he also the heads of MITS too. Yeah. So today we're taking software companies for granted, but as Steve Jobs once said, Steve Jobs say, I love the way that you guys, I love to read about computers. That's so great. But as Steve Jobs once said, Bill started a software company before anyone even knew what a software company was. In the early days of Microsoft, Bill and Paul both did a little bit everything, but Bill's keen business sense made him Microsoft leaders. He went on the road, drummed up new business. He helped manage the stuff. In addition, he wrote the code for the new software. More programs were hired as Microsoft grew, but Bill reminded the chief one. For years, not a single line code. Oh, my best friend. I'm just learning. Sorry. Okay, let's start back. For years, not a single line of a code went out of Microsoft until Bill went over it. Often, Bill worked all day and most of the night. One morning, a newly hired nope. So she couldn't watch it. Okay, then see that? I'm just live streaming it and it couldn't. So let's start back. The chief won for a year. Okay then, let's start back. Often Bill worked all day and most of the night. One morning, newly hired secretary arrived at the office and found a man lying under an office desk. She wanted to call the police. Laughing, the other employees told her that was just Bill sleeping after an all-nighter. Bill accepted people at Microsoft to work nights, late nights and weekends like he did. Most of the employees didn't seem to mind. Yeah, they were young, smart, and driven too, and they believed in microcomputers. For fun, Bill drove his fancy Fortress 911. Often he'll take co-workers out in the middle of the night for fast rides on desert roads outside the town. In 1979, Bill and Paul decided to move their company. The desert city of Ablukor was out of the silence. Plus, Bill and Paul wanted to be in green country again, close to family and friends. So Microsoft moved to Bellevue, Washington, near Seattle. Before leaving Ablukor, the small Microsoft staff posed for a picture. 11 out of the 13 original employees were in the shot. There was hope and determined in their young face. Maybe they were looking ahead to their own bright future. Chapter 6. A Big Deal. So I don't think we have enough time for that, but we're just talking about it. I love talking. I love it. Why don't we try something new? Why don't we do something fun? So you know that every single day I do something and watch something fun. We can watch something today.
Right now, children are at risk of starvation because of extreme weather caused by climate change.
So let's just listen to Ted a little bit so you won't feel lonely.
You might remember starting to count backwards from 10, 9, 8, and then waking up with the surgery already over before you even got to 5. And it might seem like you were asleep, but you weren't. You were under anesthesia, which is much more complicated.
You can
you
watch
were unconscious, but you also
Bye. You can watch this while I'm away.
Early anesthetics containing things like opium, but you also couldn't move, form memories, or hopefully feel pain. Without being able to block all those processes at once, many surgeries would be way too traumatic to perform. Ancient medical texts from Egypt, Asia, and the Middle East all describe early anesthetics containing things like opium poppy, mandrake fruit, and alcohol. Today, anesthesiologists often combine regional, inhalational, and intravenous agents to get the right balance for a surgery. Regional anesthesia blocks pain signals from a specific part of the body from getting to the brain. Pain and other messages travel through the nervous system as electrical impulses. Regional anesthetics work by setting up an electrical barricade. They bind to the proteins in neurons' cell membranes that let charged particles in and out and lock out positively charged particles. One compound that does this is cocaine, whose pain-killing effects were discovered by accident when an ophthalmology intern got some on his tongue. It's still occasionally used as an anesthetic, but many of the more common regional anesthetics have a similar chemical structure and work the same way. But for major surgeries where you need to be unconscious, you'll want something that acts on the entire nervous system, including the brain. That's what inhalational anesthetics do. In Western medicine, diethyl ether was the first common one. It was best known as a recreational drug until doctors started to realize that people sometimes didn't notice injuries they received under the influence. In the 1840s, they started sedating patients with ether during dental extractions and surgeries. Nitrous oxide became popular in the decades that followed and is still used today, although ether derivatives like sevoflurane are more common. Inhalational anesthesia is usually supplemented with intravenous anesthesia, which was developed in the 1870s. Common intravenous agents include sedatives like propofol, which induce unconsciousness, and opioids like fentanyl, which reduce pain. These general anesthetics also seem to work by affecting electrical signals in the nervous system. Normally, the brain's electrical signals are a chaotic chorus as different parts of the brain communicate with each other. That connectivity keeps you awake and aware. But as someone becomes anesthetized, those signals become calmer and more organized, suggesting that different parts of the brain aren't talking to each other anymore. There's a lot we still don't know about exactly how this happens. Several common anesthetics bind to the GABA-A receptor in the brain's neurons. They hold the gateway open, letting negatively charged particles flow into the cell. Negative charge builds up and acts like a logjam, keeping the neuron from transmitting electrical signals. The nervous system has lots of these gated channels, controlling pathways for movement, memory, and consciousness. Most anesthetics probably act on more than one, and they don't act on just the nervous system. Many anesthetics.
So I have a link down this video so you can watch it, and bye-bye. Bye-bye.